Hi, I'm Annie, married to Dan and mum to our 4 kids, and we've been working for BMS in Tirana, Albania for the last 5 years. We were sent here by BMS and founded Tekora, a small Albanian charity, a community centre and a church. And we're working with some of the most marginalised people in Europe, including people from the Roman and Egyptian communities and people with disabilities. Tekora is supported by BMS and therefore supported by you and your church. And as always, we're really grateful. Your donations enable us to continue and grow here. We're based in an urban area called Cafe Aramus in Tirana, the capital of Albania, and we love living here, with all the delights and challenges that come as part of life in the busy inner city. Like most urban areas, most people in Tirana are living in rented homes, usually cramped apartments without access to outside space. And there are many shops, small businesses, hotels and food places bustling with life. But there's great need too. Tekora simply means at the bridge, and we're seeking to be that bridging place in a divided community, helping people to work together and to encounter God. Our community includes a lot of people who wouldn't consider themselves as life's winners. Coronavirus has created a lot of change. For us, and I'm sure for many of you, we were used to being able to make decisions and influence things. For many in the community we work with, however, this lack of power is normal. Whilst we might feel we're losing a grip on life when we can go out, when we can stay in, when we can work, what we can do, this is a far more usual experience for many at Cafe Aramus. Cafe Aramus isn't on the tourist map. It's an area of social deprivation, with many people having just enough to make ends meet. Many of the poorest people feel invisible and are lacking a sense of hope that anything might change anytime soon. And that was the case before COVID-19. We have a large number of people who live on the streets begging or searching through the rubbish bins for scrap metal to sell. And it also includes a lot of people who can't afford healthcare. And that's why at Tekora we've established a clinic providing free rehab and therapy services for people who couldn't afford to pay. This has all been supported by giving from BMS. We've been supporting children with complex needs through unique sensory therapy services and helping their carers by establishing support groups. All of this has been supported by your giving. Prior to 2016, there wasn't a church in Cafe Aramus, and such was the division, people wouldn't share the same room. Today, Dan and Yuri, one of our supported partner workers, has led a church, Faith Community Tekora, that has grown and flourished in recent years. But now, after 9 weeks of lockdown, curfews and strong government restrictions, it seemed to be effective in curbing the spread of COVID-19 in Albania, but they've also meant that many people are now in financial crisis. People who had just enough food for tomorrow have nothing at all, and those who have been hardest hit are undoubtedly the poorest in our communities. People don't have money to pay for their medication. People can't afford to pay their rents. People are isolated and can't connect so they don't have phones or internet access. People don't have access to masks, gloves and other things needed for protection and also stipulated by the government here. Many of the ways we were seeking to reach out and support the communities haven't been possible in the same way, and so we've needed to adapt a coronavirus way of doing things. We had to initially close our centres to the public, and this was hard for the community as it was a meeting place that we were all familiar with. However, all of our supported BMS partner workers have been doing much more telephone outreach, helping to support and reduce social isolation, checking in with people and making sure they're coping with things like food and medication, and changing to online working where possible. This has been a bit of a challenge as many people can't just hook up to Zoom as they don't have a laptop or telephone with broadband. So advice and support has mainly been done by daily phone calls and texts. As you can imagine, physiotherapy and education services can't happen in a lockdown, so we've needed to be creative and we've found other ways to support people with home-based therapy and follow-up. Gina, our supported partner worker physio, has been working hard to run her sensory therapy via video links and sends out treatment plans to patients and ensures that carers have opportunity to talk with one another. Meggie, our supported partner worker in education projects, has also worked hard to ensure that some of our education projects continue, and it's been so encouraging to see parents supporting their children despite the challenges. And the church response has been really encouraging too. Everyone has been experiencing lots of emotions, one being isolation. It's been really good to meet together in our cell groups, and now that's not possible. Isolation can mean withdrawing, and it can break and damaging relationships. And there's been a lot of fear coming from the uncertainty about what's to come. We've all expected that things would get tougher, and I'm sure that's been the case for many of you in your churches too. Our first response as a faith community has been to identify those amongst us who are the most vulnerable and at risk, and we're doing what we can to ensure they're cared for. It's been difficult because we've been in lockdown and people have much less than before. I'm sure it's a familiar feeling for many of you too. As things start to relax a little over the next few weeks, our hope is that our capacity to do more will increase too. We want to be a community that has deep relationships and deeply cares for one another. We've made ourselves available to the community, be that online or listening or helping, sharing, connecting and advising. We've been distributing more food thanks to generous donations, and we're so thankful for those that we've received. We've been partnering with a local shop to distribute bags of flour and oil to help get food to those on the tables of those without. And we've been able to give protective equipment to those as needed. There's been so much more that I can say, but we've been responding in love to fear and bringing hope to people at this time. We've wanted to give certainty to people at a time when they're scared and to be sure about what's happening in the future. Lastly, I wanted to share with you a little about how our family are managing. Again, we're hugely grateful to those who have given to BMS over this time, those who have prayed for us, sent us emails of encouragement. It makes such a difference and makes you feel a little less isolated. Our kids haven't legally been allowed out of the house for 8 weeks now, and that definitely takes its toll. Juggling caring for Talia, who turns 2 soon, managing homeschooling for 3 children, and the increased work at Tekora has been a challenge at times. However, we are encouraged knowing that we're not alone, that we have love, encouragement and support of so many of you. Thank you so much for your support of us, BMS and Albania. It makes a real difference. God bless and Pacha Zotit.